Natural news. Two Republican lawmakers have introduced a measure prohibiting President Joe Biden from importing refugees from Palestine and resettling them in American communities. Wisconsin Representative Tom Tiffany and Tennessee Representative Andy Ogles have introduced the Guaranteeing Aggressors Zero Admission, GAZA, Act, a copy of which they shared with Breitbart News ahead of its introduction on the House of Representatives. If passed, the bill would prohibit the Biden administration from issuing visas to those with Palestinian Authority passports. It would also prohibit the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, under Biden from funneling Palestinians into the U.S. through the agency's parole pipeline. Following the horrific attack by Iranian-backed Hamas terrorists on innocent Israeli civilians, the last thing America ought to do is trust identity documents issued by the radicals that oversee these territories, Tiffany said in a statement. We need to put our security at home first, and that starts by closing the door to bad actors who might be seeking to enter our country. The congressman from Wisconsin also pointed out that they can't let Biden abuse parole and visa rules to bring unvetted Palestinians into American communities, in the same manner as he did with thousands of unvetted Afghans. Following the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, Biden used his administration's parole pipeline to resettle nearly 100,000 Afghans across American communities, many of whom were not interviewed in person beforehand and were found to be linked to terrorism. Related. Project Veritas. Records show several people Biden led into U.S. from Afghanistan are national security threats, Ogles, meanwhile, said. At a time when the threat of terrorism is not only grotesquely on display but being encouraged and justified, it is critical that we do our best to ensure the security of our nation. The two GOP congressmen said they are introducing the GAZA Act with the hope that the president's action of resettling 100,000 Afghan refugees in 2020 won't happen again. The text of the measure would block the DHS from allowing Palestinians to use the department's so-called parole pipeline. The GAZA Act followed a separate bill to be filed by Florida Senator Marco Rubio, another Republican, that would force the Biden administration to cancel visas for nationals who endorse or espouse terrorist activity. America is the most generous nation on earth, but we cannot allow foreign nationals who support terrorist groups like Hamas and march in our streets calling for intifada to enter or stay in our country, Rubio said in a press release. The Biden administration has the authority and an obligation under existing law to immediately identify, cancel the visas of, and remove foreign nationals already here in America who have demonstrated support for terrorist groups, and in many cases, even celebrated the slaughter of Israeli babies and the rape of Jewish girls. Breitbart News earlier reported that in fiscal year 2022 alone, the DHS under Biden issued green cards to about 63,000 legal immigrants, enabling them to permanently resettle in the United States. The recipients of these green cards came from countries previously included in a national travel ban list due to their involvement with terrorism. Meanwhile, some Democrats have called for the U.S. to accept Gaza refugees, a prospect that could further compromise the country's national security. The international community, as well as the U.S., should be prepared to welcome refugees from Palestine while being very careful to vet and not allow members of Hamas, Representative Jamal Bowman, DNY, told the New York Post. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than give a middle finger to unaccountable global censors and big tech fascists. Bookmark this site, sign up for our newsletter, and check back often. While you're at it, be sure to check out our friends at What Finger News, the internet's conservative front page founded by ex-military, and be sure to check out our friends at Trending Views.